So it looks like we're getting a new Marvel Legends Storm that's supposedly based off X-Men the animated series, much like Mister Sinister and Jubilee and Wolverine. And initially when I first saw this one announced, I thought to myself that this might be the most accurate action figure in the entire line, but after looking at it for a while and doing my research, I realized pretty quickly that it was definitely not the most accurate. If you support what I do, please click subscribe and hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss a single video of mine when it comes out. And if you want to hang out with me and my soulmates, I stream live on YouTube Fridays at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to play some superhero games, and I would love to see you. And if you'd like to support the channel even more, we now have memberships. Feel free to take a look at all the perks we have to offer. Well, first things first, let's start off with the positives about this Storm action figure. Her head sculpt is pretty nice. This does look like a very accurate Storm head sculpt in terms of what she looks like on X-Men the Animated Series, because on X-Men the Animated Series, during some points you can see her pupils. However, one of the more egregious omissions from this package is the lack of a head that has no pupils on it, because Storm, when she uses her powers, her pupils will disappear, and it really would have been nice to have a sort of battle head for her. A face that looks like it's angry or that she's in the midst of using her powers. Just something different aside from the head that has pupils, because it would really complete the Storm package. Another positive that strikes me about this Storm is that the cell shading on her is the least offensive of what I've seen across this line so far. I've thought that a lot of the cell shading has looked pretty cheesy in all the releases to date, but Storm doesn't look that bad. It kind of does evoke that sort of shiny feeling, but honestly, you still got that sort of feeling from the shiny coat of paint that was on the Retro Storm. So did they really need to do this? Not really. And also the lines that are detailing all the little shiny, I guess, marks you might call them on her costume, they seem a little thick compared to what we see on X-Men the Animated Series. One of the strange things about this Storm action figure is that they decided not to include another head without pupils, but they did decide to include a set of extra hands that have teeny tiny baby lightning bolts shooting out of the fingertips. And when I saw this, I thought immediately that it was very funny. I laughed out loud because this seems like such a lame special effect to include with Storm. When I think of Storm, I think of a superhero that really likes to pump the gas when they use their powers, so seeing this special effect just ain't it. The Retro Storm has a more pronounced lightning bolt effect that is much bigger when you put it on her arm, so why they went with this over what was already in that package when it's kind of obviously a downgrade, I have no idea. I kid you guys not, I had to go and look at some Electro Marvel Legends because it looks so similar to what's on him, and I had to make sure that they weren't just putting Electro's hands on Storm, because on one hand I think, well, that seems a little far-fetched for them just to put Electro's hands on Storm. But then another part of me said, you know what, I would not put it past them to do that, but thankfully, this does look like they've put lightning bolt effects on appropriate hands for her. Are they any good? Not really, but at least she isn't getting hand-me-downs from Electro. And now that I've gone over the things that bother me about this release, I really need to go over the inaccuracies, because it's important to take a look at this line based on X-Men the Animated Series, supposedly, and gauge it based on shots from the show to see how accurate it really is. One of the first things I noticed about this action figure Storm is that she doesn't have thigh-high boots like she does on the show. There's no indication at all other than maybe the thigh swivel, and I don't count that. I don't know about you guys, but that does not count. There's no indication that she's wearing thigh-high boots like she does on the show, and they should be there. But no guys, it's just a straight shot from her hip all the way down to her ankle. And that's not the only problem on her boots. On X-Men the Animated Series, Storm wears a heel, but this action figure, as well as the retro card releases, have flat soles. They don't have heeled boots on. The next inaccuracy that really leaped out at me was Storm's cape. It's the same color on the inside and out. If you look at various shots from the show, you see Storm portrayed with that cape, that bluish shadow color on the inside, and the white on the outside. But they decided just to make it all the same color, and why? I don't know. I assume just like the boots, somebody just wasn't really paying attention. And this next inaccuracy is going to come off as a little nitpicky, but I feel like I have to bring it up. That little yellow stripe across her shoulder pads is a little far to the edge compared to what's on X-Men the Animated Series. On X-Men the Animated Series, that yellow stripe is more in the middle of her shoulder pads. Why did they go with this design? Because this Storm is recycled from the Retro Card Storm, and the Retro Card Storm is based off of Jim Lee's original artwork, which has the yellow stripe farther to the edge of her shoulder pads. Also, unsurprisingly, Jim Lee's version of Storm does not have heels, though surprisingly, she does have thigh-high boots. In terms of overall accuracy in the line, I think that the most inaccurate figure of all was definitely Mister Sinister, because he had a litany of things wrong with him that I went over in my video about him. And funny enough, without even realizing it initially, it turns out that Storm is the second most inaccurate figure in the line. I think that the most accurate figure in the line might be Wolverine, though even on him, they didn't get his extra set of hands right. And on a character as popular as Wolverine, how do you screw that up? Personally, I think that if something's supposed to be based on the cartoon, it should be accurate. I don't feel like I'm asking for the moon in that regard. It's just sad to me because X-Men the Animated Series is so beloved. It's not my favorite version of the X-Men, but a lot of people love this, and having a whole line based on X-Men the Animated Series seems like a no-brainer, easy slam dunk, and the details that are really easy to get down are just getting screwed up along the way. Well, Soulmates, what do you think of this Storm action figure? Did you notice the inaccuracies immediately, or did it take you a second like me to finally look this one over, get over the pink clouding, and see that there was a lot of stuff missing from this package, and there were a lot of details that just weren't right? Are you still gonna get this one? Were you bothered by the lack of attention to details, or does this one get just enough right that you feel like you gotta have this one? I don't know, guys. Let me know in the comments. I would love to hear from you what you think about this X-Men the Animated Series Storm. I'll be back again soon with some more thoughts about new comic book toy news. And until then, with love from me to you, bye-bye.